Okay, so last we talked about, which is a little accounting section that you need to know for QuickBooks. But again, like I said, you absolutely don't need to know full details of what accounting entails in order to use QuickBooks. You could be using QuickBooks without any accounting knowledge. However, again, I've mentioned this again, accounting does help and it gives you an advantage. All right. So now we're going to be actually talking about how QuickBooks uses its files or how it, opens up files. So again, we have three types of files that you can use with QuickBooks. Okay, so we have our first one's going to be data file, which is also known as a QBW. So what this is a working file or like a current workbook. That's why it's with a W. Now, what a workbook does is it's basically when you're currently working or using QuickBooks, you are actually currently working on a data file. This is the live action file that you're working with, as in this is where you're entering in your data, and this is where you're, entering in all your transactions and being able to export all your reports and et cetera, et cetera. So this is going to be the file that you're going to be working on when you're using QuickBooks. And we'll get to see that and see how it converts into this file. Now, this is going to be where the heaviest file is going to be. It's going to be the QuickBooks data file, because this is the one that we're entering all the data in. So as you can imagine, just like you entering in more formulas and more information into Excel, same thing happens here. It gets bigger and bigger because it needs to hold all of those files. So again, the data file is the one that you're going to be currently working on, and this is the one that you're going to be having access on a local C drive. Okay? The other ones I'm going to talk about is going to be a backup file. So as you know, it's going to be QBB, B for backup, all right? And we understand that a backup file, as most companies need to do, is that while you're working on a data file, you should actually back up your file in case for any emergencies, such as, your computer crashes. All right. And definitely if your computer crashes, you will lose majority of your stuff. Okay. So especially when you're having multiple users having access to multiple files, you want to be very careful, because again, if in case the company or whatever computer just decides to crash on you, and it does happen, especially if you lose internet connection, your QuickBooks will crash. Okay. Also, if you're using a computer that doesn't have enough space, again, I talked about having RAM, random access memory. If you don't have enough space for it, or even having enough memory on your hard drive, it can possibly crash because you just don't have enough fast processor to be able to utilize QuickBooks. And on top of that, again, it uses the internet. If you don't have internet, you're out of luck, okay? So what a backup file does is it lets you save your work in another location for any time that you need to, for when your computer crashes, or also for if you are auditing. Okay, you can pull up that file and it's going to be either your closing or your last entry that you've saved your file for. Okay, and a backup, again, it's just to save all the work that you've done. All right, and you place it either on the same computer, you could place it on another computer, etc., as long as you have the space for it. And with a backup file, it can, of course, like not as a working file or a data file, you're constantly entering more and more data. So as a backup file, it's going to be obviously a lot smaller than it would be for an actual working data. But again, yes, it's also good for, it's also good to just save all the work that you've done. All right. And then another thing is going to be a portable file. This is going to be QBM for mobile, of course. So what a portable file does is it basically takes a data file and it shrinks it down to a portable file so you can email it, you can put it on a flash drive, and you can transport it everywhere else. And that's exactly what we're going to be accessing is a portable file. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert it into an existing data file. So with a portable file, again, it's flexible because it's easy to download, it's small, it doesn't take up that much space, and what it does is it just compresses the existing data file and makes it accessible by, you can email it, you can, again, upload it online and download it, and that's what we're going to be working with. We're going to be working with student portable files that Sleater and Intuit has provided for us. And what we're going to do is when we open it, it's going to convert into an existing data file. So we're going to be creating a data file from the portable file. Same thing with the backup. When you open up a backup file, you're going to convert it and make it an existing and workable file into a data file. So everything that we looked at, ultimate goal is when we are trying to work in our actual current file, whether it's entering data or entering transactions or making reports, you're constantly going to be creating a data file, okay? And the great thing about QuickBooks is no matter where you're at, as long as you have internet, it will automatically save. So there's no need to do the Control S every 5 minutes. It will automatically save every transaction that you've entered. Given with the fact that your internet is very stable. So again, internet is very key when utilizing QuickBooks. Any questions between the different 3 files?
When you say a backup files, you mean to say the flash drive like that?
You can save the backup file on a flash drive. However, you need to have like the 64 gigabyte, the one that has a lot of memory, because a backup file is more or less the same thing as a working file or a data file, except because it's only containing so much information. It's not going to be as big or heavy as a working data file because you're still adding more stuff to this one. So a backup file is heavy depending on how many items you've already placed in there and save it. Okay? All right. A portable file is much more easable, accessible, and easy to use because it compresses this data file into a smaller transferable form. It's a lot lighter, okay? And it doesn't require that much space. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. So again, this class, we're going to be utilizing the student portable files, and we're going to convert them into a data file. All right? And we will also practice how to even back up a file. All right? So first off, let's go ahead and talk about how to open files in QuickBooks. So again, when you're at the home page, this is what usually will happen. You'll get a gray screen and you'll have this little box right here. All right, and then you have options to either create a new company file, which is creating a data file, or you can either open or restore an existing file. So this is where you can restore any backups or any portable files, or if you already have an existing working file, you're also able to open it using this one, okay? And then lastly, you have the last option, which is to open a sample file. In this case, you don't really need it because when you download QuickBooks, you don't need to use the sample file because we already have our own sample file from Sleater. Okay? So that's how you do it, and then you're basically going to either click open, right? And depending on which one you're going to be looking at. So the first one we're going to be looking at is how to just open a company file. So once you click the option from the bottom, right, whether you're creating a file or whether you're opening an existing file, you're going to get the second window. This second window is going to ask you, well, what are you opening? Are you opening one of the three options, an existing working file, a backup file, or a portable file? Okay? And you know, whatever options that you choose, whatever file that you want to open is going to be whatever you're going to choose. So again, once you choose that, so you have the option to open up a regular company file, and what it's going to do is it's going to expand everything once you click OK. Same thing with a backup file, it's going to convert. And then the next page after that, when you're utilizing your restoring a backup or restoring a portable file, it's going to ask you to place to save in another place so you can have it now as an existing data file. All right? So once you've done that, that's how you open it, and we'll practice how to do that today. Okay? So here you go. This is going to be now how we actually create a backup file. So again, you're going to go to File, and then your options are pretty straightforward. There's Backup Company File. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to do a local backup? Then that's what you do. You're going to select the local backup. All right? And now we're going to talk about opening a portable file. Same thing here. The second window is it's going to ask you to save so you can have an existing file. And what's going to happen is, well, once you've done with it and you want to recreate another portable file, then here you'd be able to select this, and you're going to select File, and it's going to be Send Company File, and then the next portion is going to be to create a portable file. Okay? So once you've created a portable file or a backup file, that means you cannot ever change that file. You would have to create a second portable file to save all your changes. So that's the good thing and the bad thing about portable files. So the student portable files that you've downloaded, that you will download or have downloaded, they are yours and you can use them over and over and over and over and over again. They will not ever change, okay, unless you make another portable file with the saved changes using your data file. So again, when you open up a portable file, it's going to ask you to save somewhere, and you're going to create a data working file. Then when you want to save it, right, as a portable file, you would go here, Send the company file, and you create a new portable file with the changes that you have made. Okay, so understand that. So no matter what you're doing, your data file will always be the most up-to-date one because that's the one that you're going to be utilizing, entering all your transactions, etc., etc. Okay. Any questions in regards to looking at those three different types of files? Okay. So now we're going to talk about how to actually use QuickBooks. Hold on, I'm going to check something real quick. Okay. So how we actually use QuickBooks is there are a few things that we're going to recognize. Okay. So this is what happens when you open up a company file. The layout should look identical to this, okay? You have your main screen here in the middle. You got your left side got a column, and we have the gray bar, the title bar, etc., etc. So this is what you're going to expect every time you open up a company file, okay? And how we enter in each transaction is going to be based on each section, and we'll talk about the 3 types of ways that you can enter in the data. So the first one's going to be the home page. The home page is going to be the easiest way to understand, but as well as to enter in your data. So the home page, as you can see, there's little icons as well as like little arrows to show you what comes next. It is a graphic depiction of a flow of a transaction, okay? So, for example, if we have inventory, first thing is we have our purchase orders. Well, what happens when we place in our purchase orders? The next thing is we have to receive our inventory. And then what's the next thing is you have to place the bill against the inventory, all right? But let's say you don't have that, right? What's going to happen is you're going to get a bill, and what's going to happen is you're going to have to pay the bill. So this is the easiest way to understand the flow of a transaction. And this is exactly why you don't need accounting for this, because it's pretty straightforward. If you're buying something, when you receive it, you're going to receive a bill. And when you receive a bill, the next thing you got to do is you got to pay for it. Straightforward. All right? Same thing with the flow of transaction when you're dealing with your customers, right? If you're going to have a sale, right, that means you're going to receive money. And when you receive money, it's going to go to your undeposited funds. All right? So the flow of transaction is pretty straightforward because, again, this is a graphic depiction of the flow of a transaction. And this is going to be the easiest and quickest way to enter in almost every single transaction that you can think of. Okay? It's called the home page. All right? The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is going to be your icon bar. Your icon bar is going to consist of your centers as well as your little pieces of, things that can help you enter in data. So you can actually have calculators in here, calendars. You can even have your bill tracker, which we'll talk about that because it's actually a new feature in the 2018 version of QuickBooks. We can also keep track of your income. Okay. Other things that you can also have is quick access to your vendor center, which we'll talk about in chapter 4. Quick access to your customer center, we'll talk about that in chapter 2. Okay. And when we talk about centers, it's basically a list of every person, depending on what they are, whether a vendor or a customer, a list of all their information, which includes whether if it's a vendor, the company name, who owns it, how much money you owe to them, have I paid them, did I receive a bill from them? All that information is going to be in one section, and that's called the center. All right. So you will see a lot of centers that we will talk about in QuickBooks. So throughout this entire next couple of weeks, we'll look into a bunch of centers. All right. And basically what this is basically it's just a quick link to access certain things. So that's why it's called the icon bar, right? It's a quick way to access your information. Okay. Now, the next thing is going to be your menu bar. Now, don't confuse your menu bar with your title bar. Your title bar is going to be the blue line at the very, very top. It's going to tell you your company file that you're currently working on. So for in this case, I have Academy Photography, right? That's what the book is going to be teaching us, is how to utilize Academy Photography as our fictitious business and how we deal with its books. The gray bar is going to be your menu bar, right? You have your typical file, edit, view, right? But what the menu bar is, it's going to be a list of every single transaction that exists in QuickBooks, okay? So there'll be things that your home page will not have. There'll be things that your icon bar will not have. So your menu bar is going to be access to every single transaction that you can think of. All right. And it's going to be separated by what kind of, item that you're dealing with, right? Such as, whether it's a company thing or an internal transaction, it's going to be dealt with the company. If you're dealing with your customers, your vendors, your employees, etc., etc. Okay? So again, everything is in its specific, category, we would call them, all right? And it's every single transaction that exists in QuickBooks. And we'll get to learn all of the various ways of how to access using the menu bar, okay? So the menu bar is that gray bar that has all the listed functions that you can do in QuickBooks, okay? And then now this is what a center is. So I briefly talked about what a center is. It is a list of every individual that exists, right? And in there, you can put as much details as you want into the center. So here, this is an example of a vendor center. Okay, so at the very top, it's going to have vendor information. So it's going to be a list of, on the left side, it's a list of all the vendors that you deal with. All right, in the middle section is going to be the account balance that you either owe them in money. So this is, again, calculating your accounts payable because that's what you typically would do. You would owe your customers. Here, every customer that you select in green is going to have, on the right side, it's going to have a list of their quick information, such as the name of the company, their address, their telephone, et cetera, right? And you can expand that to be able to look at everything. The second bottom half of the right side is going to be what transactions have occurred between you as the company and with that vendor. So whether you made a transaction, whether you received a bill from them, it also keeps track of whether you made payments to them. It also gives you information if whether that invoice is going to be something that you, usually it's bill pay or a bill. And it will tell you what you did to that transaction. And with the little sections here, you can also pull out information that happened a long time ago versus now. So again, we'll talk about each one in each chapter. So chapter 4 is dealing with your vendors. Chapter 2 is dealing with your customers. And I believe chapter 10 and 11 is going to be dealing with your employees. Okay, then we look into the payroll process. So again, this is just a little quick overview of the vendor center. Okay. Now, entering in transactions. There are 3 different ways you can enter in transactions. Okay, you can enter them in like a form. So again, just like you go to any doctor's office, right? You fill out a form. You fill out your name. You fill out what age you are. You fill out all that, all that information. You fill it out like a form. And that's exactly how you're going to enter it in as one of the transactions. So example here is a purchase order. So here I'm filling out the date of when I had it, what PO number this is, who my vendor is, and, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to also fill out what items I'm purchasing, how much quantity of each item I'm purchasing, et cetera, et cetera. And the great thing about entering in forms is that when we talk about adding in our vendors or adding in our customers, right? What's going to happen is you're going to have an autofill option. or what's going to happen is that QuickBooks does it quicker for you. You know, like if you have a vendor that you frequently use, you type in a few letters of it, it will highlight it, and you can just click and it will fill in all the information for you. And we'll talk about that again when we dive into chapter 4. All right, so here is an example of how you fill out a form. All right. Lists is going to be the second one. So list is pretty straightforward. You're going to be entering in data just like a list. Okay. So for example, this is a list of all of the items I have in QuickBooks, and basically straightforward. You just type everything in accordingly. You may have a drop-down menu depending on how you set up your QuickBooks. So it's easy like that. Okay? You're entering in just like a list. Okay. And I'll also tell you a few things that you can do when you are dealing with lists, because yes, you can import any other, like Excel. If you have an Excel document, you can import it so you don't have to type in everything manually. Okay. And then lastly, register. So this is what I was going to be talking to you guys about. How we enter in a transaction using the register is pretty straightforward. You have the date, you have which section, what kind of transaction is this? So this example here is my check register. All right, here I have the date. Second thing I'm going to have is, well, what check number did I use? Is it a check? Is it a deposit? The next part is going to be who the vendor or who the person is that you're writing the check out for and what reason. All right. And then you enter in whichever amount it is. And what's going to do is it's going to automatically update your amount in there. So it's going to automatically update your account balance. Okay. So that's how you enter in a register. And that in QuickBooks will automatically recognize that this is what the transaction that's occurring, okay? So that's also one of the things. So again, we talked about entering data, right? We entered it as a register. So remember when we talked about registers, there are 3 account types that we can enter in manually, okay? And this is manually, okay? By entering it into the register. We can only do that for assets, liabilities, and equity accounts. Okay? And this is, again, if you want to enter in a transaction manually. But again, QuickBooks makes it so much easier by entering data using forms. And forms is going to enter it in the register for you. So this is the accounting behind the scenes. Okay? Any questions in how to enter in data? We will look at this throughout the rest of the chapters when we're dealing with everything else. So when we deal to expenses, when we're dealing with sales, right? All of that is going to be us practicing how to enter in using forms and registers.
So do we need the typing skills in dealing with QuickBooks?
Say that again?
Do we need the typing skills in entering data in QuickBooks?
Absolutely not. You don't need typing skills, because what's going to happen is once you've entered in a transaction and you save it, it's going to, QuickBooks is going to memorize, or it's going to notice that you're typing in the same type of thing, and you have the autofill.
So you mean to say QuickBooks more on data entry like that?
Yeah. QuickBooks has the data entry where you only need to type in a few letters and it will automatically pull the information for you. So you don't need to keep typing over and over again. So again, typing is a minimal when it comes to QuickBooks. You don't need typing skills for QuickBooks. Most of it is point and click. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, all right. So the next section is going to be QuickBooks Help. Okay, since I'm going to assume that most of you don't have QuickBooks per se experience, what this does is, in case you run into an error or you run into a situation where you're stuck on something, you can always utilize the help menu bar. Okay, so what this does is basically it allows you to contact Intuit directly, and it allows you to, have them help you what your situation is, especially when you're stuck and you don't know what to do. Okay, there's a couple features that you can do on the help menu. You can directly go to the forum for the support. Other things that you have to do, so if you want to ask an accounting question, unfortunately that's going to be a service that you have to pay for. And most companies, they do use that because, again, you definitely want to ask a professional accountant in order to help you out with this if you're a beginner, okay? So you do have the ask the accountant option, but it is a service that you have to pay for. Other things that you can do is with the help center is you can contact either a representative for QuickBooks for anything in any other help instances. So in case you have problems with the program, you can't open it, you can't download it, your license key has expired, etc. The QuickBooks support is going to help you for those kind of things, all right? And Intuit is the person that's going to help you primarily, okay? But under the help menu, right, you also have a few other things that you can do as well. You can upgrade your QuickBooks to either a higher version. So here we are under the line here. You can upgrade it to QuickBooks Desktop, right? And it gives you the options, right? Depending on which one you have. So you can upgrade it. You can also upgrade it to the latest version as well. Like, so let's say you have 2018 and you want to upgrade it to 2020. You may do that too using the help button as well. You can also do that by just going to QuickBooks.com or Intuit.com, whichever one. They all give you access to the same place. And you can just download it from there and just enter in your license key. Now, you have to be careful when doing it that way, just because sometimes your computer's not going to recognize that, hey, you have two different QuickBooks on here. You have 2018 and you have 2020. So it's always best to, if you are planning to upgrade, to do it through the help menu bar, okay? Because it will transfer all the files and it will also transfer your license as well, okay? So that's a great thing too. Yeah, that's pretty much other things here too. As far as looking into the details about QuickBooks. So again, you have about QuickBooks. You even have a little advanced guide down here. Like I can learn more about the QuickBooks Desktop Pro 2020 if I wanted to, because I'm currently using 19. They give you a lot of information here, and that's what the help is for, okay? This is for most things, just like what are the releases, etc., etc. So those kind of things will be what you're going to be answered in your help section. So again, it's only if you need help or you want to upgrade, okay? You may or may not frequently use this, but it's definitely something I would like for you guys to know, because you have access to all of these things and some people just don't know about it. So when you download your Intuit program, or I'm sorry, your QuickBooks program, you will have access to the online support. What you can do is at the back of the book, you have that little Questiva link right there. You can also contact them because they're the one that's going to provide you access to the QuickBooks support. Okay? And that is it for chapter 1. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into the review questions. So this is where your mics can go on now. So let's go ahead and review. Question number 1. Okay, the fundamental accounting equation that governs accounting is.
C.
See, Lynn, question
Yes.
real quick. Is it fair for those of us who have done accounting to answer these questions?
Well, you know, honestly, like I said, this is for everybody. This is, I mean, when we move on to the later chapters, when it's more towards QuickBooks related, this is more accounting related. Yes, you can. It's fair game. It is fair game. It is fair game.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, C, good. And that is correct. Yes, we talked about this. It is on the slide. The accounting equation is your assets are going to equal your liabilities plus your equity. Okay, and depending on what company you are or what type of company you are, equity will be more or less the same, whether it's partners' equity, stockholders' equity, owner's equity. Okay, it's going to be the same. All right, good. Question number 2. Which of the following statements is true? Okay.
C.
So,
Credit always have to be 0.
yes, that is very true. Yes, so yes. All right, so let's go ahead and knock out why the rest of the questions are not valid. Okay, so debits are bad because they reduce income. Is that true? Okay.
They reduce income.
They do, in fact, reduce income, but this is also an opinion-based question, right? Is it really bad?
No,
No, of course not.
because your debt is being paid. But see, this is the thing. This is where we go to accounting because debits and credits are just left and right, not, debits and credits as in a checkbook.
Exactly. So you have to make sure that you understand the difference between, because like credit cards too, when you have credit, if you debit account, it's actually bad or it's not good. But debit just means you paid it off. You know what I mean? So yes, and this does revolve around accounting 101. But as long as you understand the whole process between debits and credits, right? Equal and opposite or applied science, whatever you want to call it. If you have a action, an equal and reaction is what is necessary. So, yes.
Yeah.
So the first one, yes, is not really bad. Second one says equity is increased by a net loss. That is actually not true. Right? Equity is actually increased with a profit.
Yep.
Okay? And then assets are increased with a credit entry. That is definitely not true. If you guys, again, this is an accounting question, understanding the flow of transactions. So when we looked at the normal balance, with the arrows, debits are all increased by a debit. So yes, C is the correct answer. Question number 3, under the accrual accounting, okay?
B.
B, income and expenses are recognized when a transaction occurs. Yes, that is true. All right. Again, cash basis is when you receive cash. All right. Number 4, QuickBooks is
All of the above.
okay, a job costing system, yes. A payroll system, yes, because we talk about payroll, and is a double entry system. Ooh,
Yes.
is it?
Yes.
Yes, it is all the above. So again, it is a double entry system behind the scenes.
Behind. Yeah.
But as a user, so this is one of the questions, right? As a user, it's a single entry for us. Okay. And then lastly, question number 5, which is not a method of accessing the data entry.
D.
Okay.
Data entry button.
Okay.
D.
Yes, there's no such thing as a data entry button. All right. We recognize there's a menu bar. We recognize there's a home page and the icon bar. There's no such thing as a data entry button. That'd be awesome though. Okay. So good. Yay. So that is it for chapter 1. So what I'm going to do for you guys right now, since it's only 10:45, is I'm going to go ahead and expose you to the infamous QuickBooks. So here we are at the home page. So when you open up QuickBooks, it's going to ask you, do you want to update? I always say update it later. And this is what happens when you reach the very, very main screen of QuickBooks. So in order to even access QuickBooks, you have to have a existing file or you have to create one. You can't just access QuickBooks whenever you want. You need to have an actual file in order to be able to use QuickBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize what the problem says in the book. So chapter 1 asks me to open up the QuickBooks introductory file. All right, so I'm going to restore a portable file because that is exactly what I've downloaded. That's what the book asked me to open. So I'm going to go ahead and go next, right? Now it's going to ask me to look for the actual file. Now, oftentimes what's going to happen is it's going to have you look for it. So if you have it on your desktop, make it easier for you to access it. Or if you have it on your flash drive, make sure that you name your flash drive so you can locate it a lot quicker. But in this case, because I've been teaching this for quite some time, it's going to be in my actual QuickBooks folder. So here, QuickBooks class, and I have it as QuickBooks portable files. So for you guys, I've created a folder so then we can go ahead and, upload the files there. So I'm going to go ahead and access the QuickBooks portable files. So it's asking me to open up the introductory one. So intro, right here, intro. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Intro 2018. Now, the next question is, it's going to ask you is, well, now QuickBooks needs a place to save the data file and expand the file. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and click next, and I'm going to find a location. Now, the number one thing it's going to do is it's going to go directly to your C drive. And that's a no-no because, again, if you're not the admin for the actual computer itself, whether you're working in a company, you definitely do not want to save it to the C drive. You want to find a place either on the desktop or actually have a document for it to place it so it can expand its files and save it as a data file. So again, I'm going to go ahead and go to my QuickBooks class. I'm going to go back to my QuickBooks portable files, and here I have the AM QuickBooks 1116. And this is where I'm going to save my file. Okay? Once I get this okay, I have this bar. This bar is converting the portable file into a working data file. All right, so we have to wait till it completes all the way to 100%. Now notice I'm opening a 2018 into a 2019. Okay, so this is what I need. This is the first process, is opening the file, right? And I'm waiting for it to fully get to 100. Right? So once I've reached my 100, then QuickBooks is going to ask me, it's going to pop up this question. Now, this question is only if you're using a newer and not the same exact one for QuickBooks. Now it's asking me, well, what's my security code? Your book will tell you exactly what the password is, because number one thing is, if you're entering confidential information into QuickBooks, you need to lock your files up. You cannot let anyone have access to it. So in this case, my book tells me it is Sleater 18, capital S, and I'm going to click OK. And then the next section, oh, I think I typed it in wrong. Okay, so my cap locks are on. Okay, SLEETER 18 is what the password is. And I click OK. So this is where I was talking about. Okay, so this is where it's asking me, because I'm opening a 2018 into a 2019 program, it's going to ask me to update the file. And I'm going to go ahead and click Update Now. You are mandated to update the file regardless of what you're doing, because it's going to update it with the latest software, but also with the latest releases as well. Okay, so anything that's new or anything that is in order to tamper or edit the file, you need to update it so that you have access to be able to do it. So here we go. I have to wait till it gets to 100%, and then the home page will show up.
Question.
Yes.
Does it not automatically update it, or we have to do it manually?
You
As
Every time you open up a portable file, it will ask you that, because you're converting it into a working data file. So if you are going to be downloading the QuickBooks the QuickBooks Premier 2018, you may or may not have to incur this. But again, because these files were 2 years ago, it may have to ask you to update the file, because, it's also taking the date of today, which is 2020. Okay, so you may have to do that as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click Done. And what's going to happen is now it's going to give me this little code thingy. You can go ahead and close this. You don't need to have that second window that popped up. And then as I wait for my QuickBooks to unravel itself, it's going to start loading everything. It's going to start loading my icon bar, load all my home page, and start loading everything. So as you can see, my computer is not very fast, but it's opening very slowly. All right, so here usually what happens is the first thing that you see is what's new about QuickBooks, what are the new features and stuff. You can go ahead and close that. We don't really need to know anything about that because we don't really care. Okay, and everything in yellow is going to be pretty much saying, oh, well, this is what the file updated to, and this is what you can do. And again, I don't need to. You can just click around and the yellow boxes will go away. So again, here is my home page. Here's my icon bar. It will always be left aligned unless you customize it. And we'll talk about that in Chapter 7. And you can personalize it however you want as well. And that's all going to be in Chapter 7. Okay?
That's the actual workbook for the QuickBooks.
Yes, this is the standard generic home page, the generic one that every single file will open up to. Okay? All right. And then again, here's your menu bar, your title bar here says Academy Photography. So good. We're in the correct one. So this is how you open up a file, and that's how you can, this is what happens. Okay? So then we talked about how to, once we've entered in a data, right? So if we click on one of the icons, so I clicked on Bill. Remember, we talked about how to enter in the data. You entered in just like a form, okay? Now here, I can enter in, let's see, I think I have a vendor. I'm trying to think of one. So if I type in ACE, right, automatically it puts it in fill form, autofill form, right? And in order to be able to access or be able to tap on it, you can either click on it or you use tab, okay? So all of you Excel users, you're so used to using enter, right? This one, if you press enter, you're gonna enter in the bill without anything filled in there. So definitely train to use tab. Now, there is a feature that I can show you in Chapter 7 that allows you to use enter in as to move across the fields to enter in more data instead of using tab. And we'll talk about that in Chapter 7. But here, I typed in a few letters, and here you go. Ace Supply is who I want to do. And then again, because we have Ace Supply in our vendors already, it automatically fills in the information for you, making it quicker and easier to complete a task. So that's how you enter in using forms, okay? And again, it will also tell you a few things like, oh, this transaction is this, you want to leave it? And I said, no, I don't want to record the transaction. So there's a few things that you can do. And we'll talk about how to utilize the home page as well, how to customize it, okay? So that's, little one-on-one experience here. And then, of course, we also talked about how to save a file or save a backup file, okay? So again, no matter what you do to QuickBooks, whether we entered in data or not, it's going to automatically update. The backup file is just in case your company computer crashes or you need to close out a book for auditing purposes. So that's what you're going to utilize that for. So again, backup, you could just, it's straightforward. You go to File and you go to Backup Company File and pretty much do a local backup. So here, backup company, and you're going to create a local backup. Okay, and that's pretty straightforward, and we'll actually experience this tomorrow when we actually create our company file. We'll also practice saving it as a backup, and we'll also even practice saving it as a portable file. Okay, so here I want to send a company file. You can do a portable company file. Okay. And then we talked about the F2 key. So again, on top of your keyboard, you should have a function key. If you press the F2 key, here you have every information. And this is what I was talking about when it comes to the file itself. It will tell you at the very top what current what current program you're using. So here, QuickBooks Desktop Pro 2019. Releases are 1P. I've never updated my QuickBooks, so I am at release number 1. Okay? And that means there probably are bugs on my program right now. I just never updated to the newest release. So you can if you'd like to. It's like, again, it's more for avid users of QuickBooks. If they find a problem that they cannot they need to use that transaction button and they can't do it because there's a bug, then that's why you would update your QuickBooks. Okay. Again, here's my license number. Okay. And again, here when I installed it was September 20th of 2019. Okay. And again, here I was talking about the information that holds in each company file. So this file that I have right now, this Academy Photography, or this, I think this is product information. It should be for the Academy Photography, right? For the Academy Photography, the introduction chapter file consists of a total of 68 accounts, 43 names, and it's like, it's divided by how many names you have in customers, how many names you have in vendors, and how many names you have in employees. So again, it's a quick synopsis or a quick overview of everything that's in your current file. So that's what's cool about this QuickBooks, okay? So again, it even gives you the size of the file. So right now it is 513. I don't know if this is bytes or not. I'm assuming they're bytes or even megabytes, but that's a pretty big file. That's a pretty big file, especially for the main catch. It's 1024. That's a lot of space. It's a lot of memory. Okay, so again, it gives you pretty much details on the current file that you're working on. So it gives you a little summary of everything. So that's what's cool about the F2 key. You don't need to actually go into your vendor center and check out every single vendor that you have. You can just go to the F2 key, right? And it will give you all that information. So again, we also talked about centers. So again, we talked about how if we go to the vendor center, okay, okay, good. I thought it was going to crash on me. All right, so here is I'm going to go ahead and show you the customer center. So again, we briefly talked about this as well. List of all of your customers are right here. List of the balances that they owe you, all right here. And it gives you a little overview of their information, and you'd be able to edit that information as well. We'll talk about that when we go into chapter 2. You can also place in files, downloadable files, or even files. So for example, if you have a vendor, right, you could place their business card here. For your customers, you could place a photo of them, XYZ. And yes, and here is going to be the list of all the transactions that occurred between you and this customer. And this is also where you can also enter in your transactions as well, which we will talk about that in chapter 2. So again, I don't want to expose you too much without, going through the whole thing with you guys as we go through each section in QuickBooks. But yes, this is the overview of QuickBooks. Okay. And then here I want to go to the home page. So yes, you have quick access. So that's what I told you about the icon bar, is your quick access to everything. So here I wanted to go to the home page. Here you go. It's right here. Okay. And again, I'd be able to access that as well. If I go to my company, I'd be able to access my home page as well. So
Calculator?
yes,
Uh,
you had a question?
do you have a calculator on that one?
Yes, you do, if you want to. And I'll talk about that when we customize our icon bar on Thursday. We'll talk about having a calculator on here. Yes, you can have a calculator. You can have a calendar. You can have a notification if you'd like. You can have almost infinite amount of things that you can do when it comes to QuickBooks. So with that, without further ado, this is your first exposure to QuickBooks for today. And tomorrow we'll go ahead and go over how to create a company file. So for those who were in my previous accounting class, this is why I had you guys do the business plan. It's so then you can create your company, and all those questions that I asked for you in that is going to be exactly the same exact questions that pop up in the Easy Step interview. All right, and for my newer students who don't have a clue what I'm talking about, you guys will find out sooner or later what a business plan is. If for those who've done, business before, it's basically the initial step in order to create a company file, but also to even start your business, right? You're going to be asked a lot of these questions, and that's exactly what is going to happen in the accounting class in order to do QuickBooks. Okay? So with that being said, is there any other questions in regards to chapter 1, introducing you to QuickBooks?
Which is better, online or desktop?
Desktop, if you want full access to every single transaction you can think of, because online is limited.
But most company now are using online, I think. I heard online.
That could be an understatement too. Not everybody's online. They could use a fusion between the two where they have the company file uploaded online, which you can do with the QuickBooks Desktop. You can buy the Intuit Cloud to save your stuff online. And when you have access to it, you pull it directly from online. So yes, there is a, you know, an integrated version where you can access it online and as well as the desktop. But I wouldn't say most companies do that. I know that a lot of companies prefer the desktop version because you can do infinite amount of things where online, the only good thing about online is you can do it while you're traveling, right? If you're on a plane, well, I don't know why you would do it on a plane, but if you're in another location, you can still do your books wherever you are. Okay? Any other questions?
Does that mean you can save it on the disk then, or on your USB, or basically what with your laptop itself?
Yes, you can, and that's exactly what all three files are for. So if you want to email the company file over, which I wouldn't recommend, you can just create the portable file and just send it over. And for online users, anybody can have access to it as long as they have an admin password.
Okay.
So again, QuickBooks is, you know, it's one of the major top accounting programs right now that is out there. And of course, they move along with the new technology. They move along with the new way of doing things. So this is just where, again, accounting that we did in the previous class was doing it by hand, paper and pen, moving on to Excel. Now this is the newer version, being able to utilize QuickBooks, and it will make you be able to do your transactions a lot quicker than having to think about it and journalize it. So again, yes, yes, if you want to send it, yes, you can. You do have access to that. Right? Any other questions?
So no more manual bookkeeping today. They are all do it in QuickBooks.
Say it again. There's no manual.
Yeah, right now they do it all in QuickBooks and Excel.
Exactly. Right now, no company is actually doing manual paper and pen anymore. Everything's done on a computer. But I
It's
mean,
only
it doesn't mean that I can't teach it to you to do it manually, because ultimately, when you understand how to do it manually, it makes more sense when you apply it onto a computer.
but the lesson that they discuss in accounting in the school is all on manual basis.
The 101, I have to teach it to you manually. That's how you understand how to do it on a computer. You need to know the fundamentals on how to manually do it before you can move on to, other accounting programs such as Peachtree. Peachtree is similar but a lot of different, or SAP. SAP for me in college when I learned it was more difficult because the chart of accounts was so difficult to understand. And you had to memorize it. That's the worst part. So again, doing the manual, it should be the fundamentals. That's how you start to understand how accounting works in the first place before you can master accounting when you move on forth in your career. So it's definitely, understanding how to do anything manual allows you to be able to use machinery or technology to make it go faster or easier for you. And that's exactly what accounting is. I got to teach you the first things first, and then you be able to utilize the program to help you do it quicker. Okay. Any other questions?
There's only one company that work doing programs for the QuickBooks. It's only in
Yeah.
What do you mean for accounting?
no, for the QuickBooks program. It's only one company. It's producing that one, working with that one.
Yes. Intuit. But if you actually go into Intuit, they have multiple programs that you can do. Now, they are a legitimate accounting firm, right? They do TurboTax. Who hasn't used TurboTax? That is by Intuit. QuickBooks also does, it's an accounting program, but it's owned by Intuit. And did you not know QuickBooks also even does payroll for you? I don't know what that service is called, but it does exist. So if you go to intuit.com, it will give you all the details on all of the programs that it helps you as an accountant, whether you go into taxation, whether you go into auditing, whether you're doing financial. It will give you a broad amount of programs that can help you easily do accounting. Okay. Yes, there's only one program that does QuickBooks, but again, there are a bunch of different companies that provide other accounting softwares, such as Peachtree, right? That's another accounting software, such as SAP. They are another accounting software. Okay? So, but because we're learning the basics and general one, we're learning QuickBooks. The more popular one would be something like QuickBooks, because everyone uses, other programs that Intuit offers. Okay? Any other questions?